Toys. The fondest of our childhood memories. I personally had a teddy bear that I've owned since I was 2. But what if your most trusted friend, the little ball of comfort that sleeps with you at night, turned out to be haunted? What if he whispered in your ears as you were drifting off to sleep, or laughed manically in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, or was jealous and angry at every human being who came in contact with you? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and prepare yourself for 3 true scary stories of haunted childhood toys. Possessed teddy bear? Or something else? I don't really know how to start this, other than the fact that I've come to find that a favorite teddy bear of mine seemed to have a life of its own. Donnie, as I've always come to refer this stuffed toy along with such things as he and him, isn't all that special actually. My mother bought him at the mall for me when I was younger, and I've kept him close ever since. Despite entering my late teens, I still sleep with him snuggled in my arms every night, and I believe that might have something to do with the life he seemed to gain. The way Donnie acts for what I first thought to be a possessed stuffed doll strikes me as odd. He moves. I know this for a fact from him having felt him hold me back when I hug him, and having placed him down, turn for a minute and look back to find him closer to me. But those occasions tend to not happen often unless I've left him alone for long periods of time. What does happen often, however, seems to only happen if my mom or little brother goes into my room without my permission and I'm not around. That, and with my mom, since she's a bit more acute to the paranormal things around her, if I accidentally leave Donnie in her bedroom with my mom, he seems to swing down from the ceiling at an angle not possible, just to hit her on the head and then be resting on the bed the moment she turns to look at him. I've gotten her to go into more detail about it, and she says that she only sees something black in the shape of Donnie swooping down upon her right before it hits her upside the head. If I leave Donnie alone with her without realizing it, my bear apparently begins to demand where I am and then proceeds to say my name over and over until my mom eventually gets fed up with it and ends up either throwing him at me or tossing him in my room. With my little brother, I only have one account of Donnie doing anything, and that was standing up on my bed and charging right at him when he went into my room to get one of my CDs. Donnie didn't touch my brother at all, but he effectively chased him out. Now, I'm not frightened or anything by this, but I am curious. I used to always joke around that my teddy bear was possessed once I got it, but I grew out of that stage rather quickly as I just slept while holding Donnie close. I don't know if it was that or the fact that I am greatly attached to Donnie that might have attracted a spirit to take up residence in my bear, but I've come to realize that it might be something entirely different. With my mom and Wicca friend being able to sense, see, and hear spirits, I am grateful that I can consult and speak with them over the different theories without them thinking I'm completely nuts. And one theory seems to stick out to me in particular. My mom was the one to say it, and my friend agrees there's a large chance that whatever is in Donnie might be an extension of me. Looking at it seriously, I think this might be the case, but I'm not entirely sure. According to my mother, Donnie is perfectly fine and completely silent if he's with me, unless she comes in to wake me up, in which she finds that Donnie stares at her with warning to not bother me at all. Donnie isn't the only one of my stuffed animals to gain life around me, or the ability to move either. The only other two being a small clown doll and my giant panda bear. The clown doll hasn't moved from the desk drawer I've hid it in for some time, due to my mother threatening to burn it if she ever found it on her pillow in the middle of the night again. And my panda bear has only moved once. It was after hiding something very important behind it, with the intent that no one would ever find this item. But I soon wanted to hide it in a better spot, so when I got to it, I was then promptly hit by my giant toy panda bear and hard. It wouldn't let me retrieve the item until I knocked it from the chair and got it anyways. My panda hasn't moved since, while Donnie has retained the ability to do as he wishes to those who enter my room and annoy my mother until she gives him to me. This has me thinking he really might be possessed by some spirit, and that might hop from one of my stuffed animals to another. Or it could be an extended part of me. I was leaning more towards possessed, since one of my other friends spent a week at my home the summer before last and heard a male voice talking in a completely different language. Me replying in English as I mumbled along the lines of, "She's fine, Donnie. There's no need." But I don't know if she was completely awake or partially dreaming, so there's also that fact against the possession theory. I remind you that I'm not afraid, but I would like to hear what you guys think about all of this. Is my teddy bear just moving because an extended part of myself? Or has a spirit found him a suitable vessel? Or is it something completely different? Strange clown toy. Now, as a person that has to see something to believe in something, I've always been very doubtful about the paranormal. Until recently. I stay at my best friend's house all the time, and he's even seen as a relative. The house they live in is on a main road, but when they bought it, they found out that a person had been murdered in what used to be an office. It had happened a long time ago, so they weren't really bothered and bought the house. I and my friend are 17 years old, and our birthdays are 2 days apart. We spent many nights awake until the early morning hours, chilling or partying. It wasn't an unusual day when I got there, but his mom said that if I was to stay, we had to tidy his room. Like I said, he's basically part of the family, and this didn't bother me at all. As we were tidying, I went into the back of his cupboard to pull out this strange-looking clown doll. It had a menacing grin on its face and just generally gave me the creeps. We threw it into the bin bag we were putting rubbish in and carried on, not thinking about it. We were home alone that night and things went like normal. Except for when we got stopped by the police on the way home from the shop. They mistaken us for someone else. I won't bore you with the details of our night, but we went to sleep at AM and woke up at PM. When we woke up, we decided to go play his game consoles. The second controller had run out of power, so I asked where I could find some batteries. While we were tidying yesterday, he found batteries in the cupboard, which should still be there. When I went to get them, I kid you not, the clown doll was there again. Exactly where I had found it the previous day. We were both freaked out since we knew we had put it in the bin outside. There was only me and him in the house, so we know for sure that no one would have taken it out and put it back. I left later to go home, and it's been playing on my mind ever since. We know his room was where the person was murdered, but he says that in the 17 years he has lived there, nothing paranormal has happened. I would have taken a picture, but I wasn't thinking straight at the time, so it didn't run through my mind. I'll take one next time at his house. This is all 100% true. I was wondering if anyone has heard of this sort of thing before and has any advice you may have. Thanks for reading. Grandma's Haunted Doll. Just wanted to say that I really enjoyed your story. I have also had some haunted items, so I can relate a little bit with what you were talking about. However, my experiences were not as dramatic at all. I started collecting haunted items for about a year and a half, and then I just quit. It seemed like the more I added to my collection, the weirder things got. The most haunted things I had were dolls. My favorite was a beautiful handmade mime doll that I think has a very bubbly non-human spirit in it. It giggled and talked a little at night, but the voice was metallic sounding, like someone tried to talk out of a music box. After I had my haunted object, for which I kept in my bedroom, maybe not a great idea since I saw tons of shadow people all the time, I noticed a doll that my grandma had for years in her bedroom. It became haunted from having the other objects around. I knew it was haunted because I went into her room and glanced at it, and her eyes turned to look up at me for a split second, which, by the way, on occasion, most of my haunted dolls have either changed expression or moved their eyes at different times. I took my EMF meter and I noticed that this particular doll would cause a huge EMF spike, which I would mess with her or touch her. She had no batteries and was just a plain porcelain doll. I moved her around the house and she would cause the huge EMF spike gauge if I kept touching her and messing with her, and I showed my grandma, and it freaked her out a little bit, so she was quickly moved to my room with the others. She was the most noisy haunted doll that I owned. It got to the point that I had to sleep with a pillow over my head so I could sleep because she would talk and try to get my attention as soon as I tried to go to sleep. I remember my bed shaking like crazy one night, and a man and a woman kept talking, arguing like crazy in my bathroom, which was right next to my bedroom. There was a crystal glass wine filled with buns on my dresser, and when I heard the people talking in the bathroom, it would make the glass hum at the same time, like their voices were at a pitch that would make the glass vibrate. Fortunately, things hardly ever got this crazy, so I learned to live with it quite easily. However, I think all of those items with different energies attached made some kind of portal in my bedroom because I would see a crazy amount of shadow people and solid and sometimes transparent apparitions. I am sensitive to spirits and I have been my entire life, but I hardly had that many strange things happen. I went to maybe 3 to 4 times a year to 2 to 3 times a week. Sorry for the long post. If you want to see if your Donnie bear is haunted by a spirit and not just you subconsciously manipulating it, like the poltergeist type phenomenon, try letting a friend borrow him for a while and see what happens. I would suggest 2 to 3 months because it can take that long for a spirit to manifest if it's attached to an object. The person should keep them in their bedroom where they sleep because if it is a spirit, they are most active at night. That's just an idea that I have for you to try. The reason I don't have my haunted items with me right now is because I moved to a different state to go to college, so they're still waiting for me back home.